I'm in such a good mood because we're driving some sport compact cars today. Beside me is the 2025 Honda Civic Si, which has received a few small tweaks to improve the overall package. Let's take a quick drive and I can share all of my first impressions. Now, all the news in the automotive industry is about EVs and hybrids and plug-in hybrids, and yes, there is some stuff to talk about with the Civic in that regard, but not today. The vehicle I want to talk about is this brand new 2025 Honda Civic Si, and this is a honest-to-goodness compact sports car that's just enjoyable to drive. Sure, not a lot has changed between this year and last year, but there's been a few really important refinements that make the Civic Si still one of the more popular choices in the segment. For starters, it's one of the only vehicles that's exclusively available with a manual transmission. In fact, it's one of the most popular manuals on the market. And under the hood is the same 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that makes 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. That 6-speed manual has been improved, and one of the gimmicks of the Civic Si has been its rev-matching manual transmission. And yes, this gets an upgraded feature, and now, for whatever reason, lets you rev-match downshift from second to first. Which is weird, but hey, if it works, why not have it? Other things worth pointing out in this 2025 model year vehicle is just how they've refined some of the exterior design. Sure, it's not as outlandish as the last generation version of this car, but you will notice some small tweaks here and there, like the way it's got that glossy black surround around the headlights, and the upgraded wheels, which are these cool V-shaped spokes. And as always, you're going to get your vehicle equipped with some summer tires, which really helps the performance feel of this sport compact. And let's be real, it's just so much fun to just row through the gears here, up and down. This is a good feeling manual transmission. No vague gates or anything like that. And one of the other things that I really like about this Civic Si is that it can feel like a couple of different cars at once. I mean, if you keep it in the comfort mode or the normal mode and load your friends in it, no one's gonna think that you're driving a sporty car around town. And it's got all the handy features that you'd want from a modern commuter, like adaptive cruise control and lane keeping. It even has blind spot monitoring. In the past, we've criticized the Civic Si for having somewhat vague feeling steering, and I think they've improved that a tiny bit. The steering wheel is much heavier in the sport mode. It doesn't have a ton of feedback, but it's enough to let you have some fun on the windy roads. As opposed to before, which it could actually feel a little bit light at higher speeds and then not really enjoyable, in fact, a little off-putting. I'm happy to say that is now gone for this 2025 model year. And while Honda has refined the chassis here to make it a little bit more rigid and responsive, I still find the vehicle a little bit on the soft side when you really push it. It's not that it's got a lot of roll, it's just that I would love a little bit more communication from the vehicle. But you know what, they've got another vehicle in mind for enthusiasts, and that's the Civic Type R. If you really want something that's hardcore, just go for the hardcore model, that's the Type R. But what makes sport compact cars so much fun is that they turn just regular everyday experiences into something fun. Here we are, just going up onto an on-ramp. You can really feel this car get going. It's not a huge jump from the last year model, but these little tweaks here and there help the Civic Si feel a little bit more relevant and competitive compared to some of the other compact vehicles on the market. And I really think that Honda was feeling a little threatened by Hyundai's Elantra N-Line vehicles there for a while. But I do think that this vehicle has gotten a little bit more refined, high-tech, modern in a number of ways that make it feel just better overall. Some of the bigger upgrades to the Civic Si come with the cabin. Here we've got the beautiful Si seats, which look so sharp and are available with heated functions as well. And you're gonna get a bigger infotainment screen as well as a nice digital gauge cluster. Above that digital gauge cluster is a really cool rev display that reminds you of maybe a sports car. They kind of light up, come together, and remind you to shift. Hopefully you do that in time, or else we're talking about maybe some engine damage there, right? But overall, I really like some of the materials in this vehicle. You've got some textured trim here on the center console and as well as along the door panels, and they blend well with some of the harder plastics around the cabin. One of the things I don't like though is this honeycomb grille on the dash. I just don't think it's really attractive, and I'm always worried about cleaning that. One of the ways that Honda has improved the cabin is by offering a few more connectability features. Here we've got USB-C ports to help you charge your devices, and you've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is always handy. However, if you don't want to use those, the Civic Si also includes an infotainment system with Android Automotive OS. So it's got built-in Google Maps and Google Assistants, which is pretty cool. And furthermore, you also have the ability to individualize some of the driving settings in here using this infotainment screen, and I think that's pretty handy. It's not too slow, helps you get through these features really quickly, and there's some things that you didn't expect to change, like the gauge cluster or the engine noise here. So you can go for a sportier noise or a more standard noise. But overall, one of my favorite things about this vehicle is just how modern it feels now, especially with that gauge cluster, which is customizable and allows you to put all the information you need right in front of you. If there's one criticism I have about the vehicle is that it now costs around $37,000, which means students aren't really getting into a new Civic Si. However, it is a very balanced overall car, which means adults will probably enjoy the fact that it's fun to drive, well equipped, and plenty spacious. For Driving.ca, I'm Sami Haj-Assad.